I mean, I still think they're a playoff team because that defense is ridiculous. But when you consider who's in their division, who they have to play this year, compared with the schedule I've just named for you, the 49ers have to face the Chiefs, the Rams twice, the Chargers, and the Saints defenses over the next 7 games. Like, they might average 14 points a game in that stretch of time, and you're going to rely on winning games 11-10, like the Broncos managed to last night. So I found myself at the back end of this game I joked about it, but legitimately like Ken Dorsey angry as I got to the end of this game. And it might be because it was nearly 5 a.m. On the one weekend of this season, I decided to take off and watch the games with my buddies instead of working. Thinking the London game's coming this week, 49ers on Sunday Night Football. Why not give myself the chance to, take a weekend off? I watched one of the worst games of just sport I've ever seen in my life. I watched a defense that were, as I say, absolutely stunning, but there was every chance that what we saw at the end of that game was going to happen, in that they had the time of possession was so heavily in favor of the Denver Broncos that eventually that defense were going to get gassed, and Russell Wilson turned it on for a single drive, had one great play with his legs, one great throw against a defense that looked very, very tired, got a touchdown, and it was game done. There was no way, with probably 2 more drives remaining, that Jimmy Garoppolo was going to get on that field and get it going. I think I was most annoyed because last week I sat listening to Matt Sherry and Simon Clancy and everyone else telling me that Jimmy Garoppolo coming in for the San Francisco 49ers gave them a better chance of winning. And because I felt like my preseason excitement about Trey Lance had maybe got on top of me a little bit, I bit my tongue instead of standing up for what I knew to be true, which is that was all it's complete nonsense. No, it's not about one game. It's not about one game. It's about the fact that putting a guy who has upside into that offense and letting him learn over the next 10 plus games, a guy who then could go and win us games of football when they are tight and not make horrendous mistakes, like giving up a safety where he walks out the back of the end zone, throwing some of the worst wobbly passes, having absolutely no connection. The series where he got picked off, where he underthrew Deebo Samuel when he could have set him for a touchdown, and then overthrew him literally with the next target of him, which led to the interception, was just prime example. The guy is not good enough in the NFL. And I thought maybe it was an injury thing. Maybe he did need to get over the shoulder. Maybe it is a case of what can he do against a really good defense when he's not had time to work with those players. But the scheme was mostly suitable for him last night. It wasn't like they just ran the Trey Lance scheme and hoped he'd be fine. They had the old playbook. A lot of those players were still in there. The offensive line, for the most part, stood up to that Broncos defense. It was only really in the second half that they gave up more pressures. I thought that the running game, when opening up holes, offered up opportunities. The point is Jimmy Garoppolo will probably win 9 or 10 games as the 49ers starting quarterback this season. A lot of teams would absolutely kill for that. But this is a team with a Super Bowl ceiling who have a quarterback who cannot win against those top-tier defenses and cannot win in tight games where the pressure is on his shoulders and he has to go and do it, and he can't do it. It's just, he is a high-end backup. He's been paid to be a high-end backup. I don't think that they have a higher ceiling than they did a week ago before Trey Lance got injured. And I listened to everyone tell me on Monday and kind of got talked into it that they did have a higher ceiling. Now, they don't. The ceiling was the best team in the NFL. The floor was lower, but give me the best team in the NFL as the ceiling and not even going to the playoffs as the floor versus you'll get a wild card spot and go out in the first round of the playoffs.
I don't know where you think you're going to be the best team in the NFL, Will. I just don't understand that. And
because that defense is a top 5 defense, and you only need the offense to average 21 points a game, 25 points a game in that situation, and you'd be absolutely fine. I'm saying it's an extreme, what I'm saying about that ceiling, but I believe a week before Trey Lance goes down, that is a team who should have had Super Bowl aspirations. I do not have those aspirations now. And everyone else is telling me I should have them more so than I did before, which I think is nonsense.
I don't know how you think Trey Lance was going to take you to the Super Bowl, mate. That's just not a world I could live in. But also,
because he has the upside, and he would have had 16 games to work with the offense, learn, connect with them.
That's not how
whilst being able to make those big plays.
He's thrown 219 passes in college and go, I'll take this team to the Super Bowl. That's never happened before.
Everyone wants to look at, like, most of those players have to go into terrible, terrible football teams. This guy gets to go into a really good football team with a line that's playing above what we expected from it, with a really good run game, admittedly, with now more injuries. He had what he needed around him to have enough success to get through, all whilst learning. Give me that over the same Jimmy Garoppolo rubbish for the next 20 weeks.
I just don't think you're plugging in a kid from a mid-tier, FCS school and thinking he's going to take you to a Super Bowl.
And I'm telling you, I would take that over Jimmy Garoppolo all day long.
But also, you said, like, he can't take games on his shoulders, and like he went to the NFC number 1 seed and beat the Packers in Green Bay.
Yeah, on an incredibly highly schemed game. Yeah, an incredibly highly schemed game where Green Bay made a lot of mistakes. Where
he was the goalpost to suit your argument.
But he hasn't been the guy who's gone and won games. He's not been the guy to go and win games.
I thought your biggest problem last night, and I don't think Garoppolo played very well, but I think your biggest problem last night was, like, where were the targets for George Kittle? George Kittle had 1 catch. Why did you go away from the run game in the second half? I didn't understand the play calling. It was just like, you got the best tight end in football, and you targeted him he had 1 catch. I just, like, to me,
I think there's a good point.
I'm relatively sure that's wrong.
But regardless of
4 catches on 5 targets.
Okay,
yeah.
I'd be throwing in the ball 12 times again. He's the best tight end in football.
He's literally the second most targeted player in the team, and he's just coming back off an injury.
I'm talking about last night, not about historically. I'm saying last night he should have been like.
And last night he was the second most targeted player while coming off an injury.
He should have been a massively central part of that game. Where was the run game in the second half? I didn't understand why you went away from the run.
Oh, the coaching wasn't good either. I'm not allowing Shanahan or anyone else off. I'm just saying that I don't think that this team can succeed against top-tier defenses while running with that quarterback and that offense combined. Maybe they can scheme something. Maybe they can figure something out. I didn't see a single thing last night that suggested that was the case.
It feels like Shanahan gets off a bit scot-free sometimes because, all right, his teams, he draws up sexy plays and his teams play nice football, but, you know, where's it got you? What's happened here? Where's the scheming?
Gone to Miami, buddy.
And exactly, and that's working out for Miami. But for Shanahan, they haven't won a Super Bowl, so you know, like he seems
he's managed to scheme a team to an NFC Championship game and to a Super Bowl, and that's more on his coaching than it is on, I think, his coaching and great talent acquisition. Because positives for the 49ers, man, they keep finding great talent in the mid to late rounds of the draft. Sam Womack was great again last night, a 5th round pick. Spencer Burford was great for 95% of snaps last night. He gave up a really bad false start at an awful moment, but other than that, a 4th round pick who's performing. Like, they found good talent and they've schemed well. The problem for Shanahan has been in those games where you need something to make the difference, whether that is as the OC in Atlanta, whether that is the Super Bowl, whether that's the NFC Championship game against the Rams last year, where they had a lead going into the 4th quarter. He doesn't seem to have that chutzpah, that moment. And look, we want to pick on Shanahan for something last night. With a lead, 4th down, opposition territory, in short yardage, he doesn't go for it again. And he never does go for it. He went for it once last week while ahead, and I praised him for it. So now I need to go back after him again. Because actually, that was a game where you pick up that 4th down, and the likelihood is you're going to get into field goal range, and you're going to score at least 3 points, which ends up winning you the game. If you don't convert it, Russell Wilson and the Broncos offense at that point had barely picked up. I think they were something like 3 for 14 on 3rd downs at that point, and we were 0 for 9. It was a dreadful game of football all round. Let's not ignore that entirely. It's part of the reason I'm angry today in general, is that I stayed up to watch that absolute nonsense. But that is bad from Shanahan. That is not taking risks at the right time, and he is risk-averse in the wrong moments, and it's a problem. So I'm admitting, yes, there's more than one problem on the team. I just hate that everyone spent last week telling me we're suddenly a Super Bowl team, when actually, I don't believe it.
Oh, but yeah.